Reddit. We have all heard guys' stories of getting caught masturbating art. We rarely hear of the flip side of the coin. Ladies, have you ever been caught twiddling your jelly bean? Conversely, has anyone caught a girl in the act? Before we dig into it, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Story 1. I was sharing a room with a male colleague and couldn't get to sleep. Looked over to his bed and saw that he was sound asleep, stuck my hand under the blankets and started flicking the bean. About 10 minutes later, I was getting right into it and I heard, "Do you want a hand with that?" Turns out he wasn't asleep. As I am really good at dealing with awkward situations, I did the only logical thing, squealed and fell out of the bed, panties still around my ankles. I stayed on the floor for about 5 minutes, hoping that I would somehow disappear. Then got up to see him still shaking with silent laughter, only for him to burst out laughing when he saw my beet red face. He managed to get out of wanking and I was able to explain myself. I couldn't sleep. He shrugged and said, "Fair enough," then rolled over and went back to sleep. Story 2. I got a good one. My boyfriend had to get up really early for school the next morning, so he didn't have time to get a decent amount of sleep and please me, so he fell asleep. I tried, but the vagina monster wouldn't shut up. Hey, shut up vagina. I'm horny. I know vagina. Some other time, use his hand. He'll never know, actually vagina, that's a good idea. So I use my sleeping boyfriend's hand and get almost there, but then I kinda get a little too into it, move his arm too fast, and he wakes up. "What were you doing?" "Raping your hand." The good news was, once he got over how ridiculous it was, he thought it was really kind of attractive, and let me finish with his hand. All's well that ends in orgasms. Story 3. I grew up in a house where there were no locks on the doors. We all had to share rooms with siblings and my mom was nosy as hell. I was 18, so freaking horny. My little sister was actually gone at a friend's house. I had just gotten out of the shower, was sitting on my bed with a towel wrapped around me and a smooth-handled hair brush in my hand. I started thinking about how I could frick that brush. I was so horny. My pussy was throbbing, begging to be penetrated. I sat with my hair wet, toes twiddling, looking at that brush, thinking of all the slutty things I would do to it. Just then my mother burst in, and even though I was only holding the brush and not doing anything sexual with it at all, I flung the brush with all my might across my bedroom and it collided with my dresser mirror and cracked it. My mom got the most disgusted look on her face and yelled, while pointing at my crotch that I had to buy a new brush and mirror, and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. "You wanna know why I had sex before marriage, Mom? Because you guys made it impossible and unacceptable to give in to healthy urges in my own goddamn bedroom." Story 4. This whole thread, http://imgirlcom or dhjgif. Story 5. I taught my wife how to orgasm. Once she learned how to do it, she was like a 15-YO male. I caught her a few times, no big deal. She has caught me more. Story 6. When I was still a teenager living with my parents, I was caught once by my brother. See, my parents had an open door policy where our doors had to be open at all times unless we were changing, and depending on how long that took, you may get a visitor to make sure you were okay. I was enjoying a new purchase of a vibrator when my little brother walked into my room in the middle of the night. Luckily, it was too dark for him to see anything, but I had to come up with a reason for the vibrating noise, claiming it was my cell phone. Needless to say, after that I partook in the shower, more than my bed. Story 7. A girl that lives down the hall from me in the dorms walked in on her roommate watching porn and pleasing herself. She immediately went to the RA and they went straight to the hall director. They are no longer roommates. Story 8. See, jerking off in the shower for chicks is easy for dudes. We come in then. For whatever reason, the cum becomes rock hard and impossible to get off your hands. Story 9. When I first discovered masturbating, I did it all the time. Weird thing is I can't have multiple orgasms, so I have a refractory period of sorts. I have one, immediately, want to fall asleep and can't go at it again for at least 15 minutes. So when I first started I would go at it like 3 to 5 times a day, just disappearing into my room, orgasming, then taking many naps. Rinse and repeat somewhere along the lines. I think my mom caught wind of what was going on one day. She was knocking on my door, I didn't have a lock and she got the usual frantic. "Give me a second," she said. "Are you masturbating?" I said no, but she knew. She knew. At it. My roommate and boyfriend also caught me. One day I woke up, horny as hell for whatever reason, and thought I saw that my roommate had gone to class. I masturbated all the way to completion a good 3 to 5 minutes, then collapsed back into sleep. About 15 minutes later I heard her get up, get dressed quickly and leave. We never spoke about it, but things were kind of weird between us for a while after that. Story 10. Not quite in the act, but one day I was awakened by my aunt and she remarked on the unusual position of my hand. I had been chilling off and had fallen asleep with my hand still inside my panties. Talk about awkward. Story 11. I'm a girl and I went on holiday with a good friend, also a girl, and her parents when I was around 16. It was a camping holiday, and me and my friend shared a double-air mattress and duvet for the 2 weeks we were there. It was a fabulous holiday until the 4th or 5th last day before we left, when I got woken up by my ridiculously light sleeper by my friend digging for treasure one night. Needless to say, I lay still and silent until she had found and released the pearl in her clam and given her the freedom it deserved, but it was one of the most uncomfortable situations I have ever been in, and even now, nearly 10 years later, I still haven't said a word. Story 12. Just got caught whacking it to this thread. Talk about meta. Story 13. I was around 9 or 10 and had just started Tilda exploring Tilda. So after a shower I would sit in the toilet cover right across from the tub and just poke around. One time my mother does the I knocked, one time so I'm coming in to see if I'm done with my feet still perched on the tub and my legs spread open. I stare wide-eyed at her and immediately grab the crossword puzzle next to me on the counter. She said oops and closed the door. I think she knew partly because I wasn't even holding a pen for the crossword. Story 14. I was 16. Mom randomly decides to open my door and turn on the light in the middle of the night. Also, I should mention that it was a warm summer night, so I wasn't covered by blankets. That was so awkward. She came back like 15 minutes later and gives me the talk on how it's normal to do that, and everyone does it. Story 15. When I started masturbating, I wrote it in my diary because there was no way that was going to bite me in the ass, right, and my mom found it while she was cleaning my room. Talk about awkward. Story 16. My husband. My husband walked in on me in the shower with the shower on. A huge grin washed over his face and he said, "Need help?" I asked him to marry me shortly after that accidental discovery. Story 17. My sister caught me humping my giant teddy bear when I was 8. She ran and told Mom I spent the rest of that day hiding in my room from Shame the Beach. Story 18. Not so much masturbating, but my mom once found some pubes in the toilet that I had not properly disposed of when I was 16, and 21 now, possibly more mortifying than if I'd been caught masturbating. My mom came into my room, named her, "Can you come here?" "You sure?" So we walk into the bathroom and she points to the toilet. "What's that?" At this point I realized exactly what it was, frick. I mosey on over to the toilet and look inside. Yep, 'twas my pubes. And it had been a long winter. At this point I figured I'm screwed and was just waiting for my mom to make the next move, and the ensuing conversation will live with me forever. "Mom, where is that from me?" "You flashes, toilet, my bikini line." This was the least awkward way I could think of instead of saying vagina to my mom. "Mom, why did you do that me?" Because I felt like it." "Mom, who's gonna see that me?" "Nobody, Mom." Extended silence. "That's gross." We've never spoken of it since. Story 19. Twiddling your jelly bean. I chuckled.